Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of the MLB Full Count Sports Betting Show presented to you by SportsMemo. My name is Eric Pauly, and today is a very special day, not solely because it is the second to last day of regular season MLB action and we have most of the playoff picture finalized, but also because it is $2 Tuesday over at sportsmemo.com. For just $5, you can get plays from Teddy, the Gold Sheet, and one of our panelists for today's show, Rocky Atkinson. So without further ado, we're going to bring on the panel of Jeff Michaels, JM Sports, and Rocky Atkinson for this Tuesday edition. Jeff, you got the Cleveland Guardians, your team already locked into the postseason. How are you feeling with these last 2 days left? You relaxing? You getting ready for Friday? What's your mindset looking like?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm comfortable going into the last couple of days of the regular season. I'll tell you that. Found out that my dad actually bought tickets to the wild card round, and the first round if we make it through the wild card, and called me today and told me that he can't fly out to Cleveland for him. So hey, now I have 2 tickets. So hopefully now even more than ever, I'm rooting for him to get past that wild card round.
Yes, certainly. That sounds great. Love to hear that. And we have Rocky Atkinson, the man of the hour. He has his $2 Tuesday play is on the NFL Sunday slate this weekend. Rocky, you still got your eyes focused on baseball? What's going on in your world?
Well, I'm not as fortunate as Jeff. My favorite team's the Oakland A's. So I've been kind of out for a while now. But yeah, looking forward to some football again this week. And hockey starts Friday. Looking forward to that. And basketball's right around the corner as well. So looking forward to that as well.
It is certainly the most exciting time as a sports fan. You got the World Series coming up. You got the start of NHL, NBA, of course, college basketball as well, and of course, NFL and college football in full swing. So without further ado, and I'm sad to say that this is going to be one of the last daily full count shows considering the season's over, but we are not leaving you with any stone unturned. We actually have the most important matchup of the weekend for this first game breakdown of the day. We have the Atlanta Braves headed to Miami to take on the Marlins. The situation in the NL East is plain and simple. The Atlanta Braves win tonight or they win tomorrow and they clinch the NL East. If the Atlanta Braves fail to win tonight or tomorrow and the New York Mets can squeak out some wins against the Washington Nationals, and we'll see what happens with that weather there, then the New York Mets will take over the NL East. And of course that will change the way the seeding is right now. If the season were to end right this second, the Phillies would play the Cardinals and the Padres would play the Mets in the wild card in the NL. So looking at this matchup, we have Miami, who they've obviously had a poor season, but they've been pretty profitable on the run line. They're 58-42 against that run line this season. And they're going to try out Braxton Garrett to try and play spoiler to the Braves like they were able to do for the Brewers. Garrett on the season, 3-6, 3.56 ERA, 3.57 FIP, a 1.18 whip. And Jake Odorizzi is trying to lock in the NL East title for the Braves tonight in Miami. On the season in 21 starts, Odorizzi is 5-6 with a 4.53 ERA, a 4.32 FIP, and a 1.36 whip. We're going to start with you, Jeff. Do you think the Atlanta Braves can clearly win out this game? I mean, on the money line, they're minus 150, and the Marlins are plus 150. Total sitting at 7.5 and 8. Do you think laying the Braves to win tonight at minus 150 is a good bet, or are you looking to find value elsewhere in this matchup?
I don't know. You said, can they win this? No question they can win this game. We've seen them win all year. But Odorizzi's on the mound. He's got a 7.29 ERA in his last 3 starts. And the team's just 1-2. I mean, his 11 starts on the road this year. He's 7-4 to the over. But the one thing that did stand out to me, this is just his 3rd start on a turf field this year. And in those first 2, he's 2-0 with a 2.70 ERA. So that's his best split that I could find was on these turf starts. He does have a pretty good record in his career. He's made 7 starts against the Marlins and his team 6-1. But you don't forget, he was a late season addition over from Houston. So I broke down his division looks. He's made 6 starts against his new division since he's gotten here. He's got a 6.58 ERA in those starts. And Atlanta's actually just 4-11 on the road after allowing 4 runs or less in 3 straight games this year. So, they are due to allow a lot of runs, but it is kind of hard to imagine seeing their record against left-handed starters and their record in the division. But, You said Miami played spoiler once. They've won the last 3 Braxton Garrett outings, and their 7-3 run in the last 10 games may be more impressive than Atlanta's 7-2 run when you consider the shutout from last night. So I want to see Miami pull it off because I want an exciting last day of the regular season. And if anybody's going to be on the mound that they're going to do it, it's going to be Odorizzi. So I'm hoping a money line. I think if I'm putting any money out there, it's going to be on a Miami run line, like you mentioned, to open.
Yeah, so if you tune into the first family show this morning, I took the Miami Marlins on the run line tonight because for some of the reasons Jeff mentioned, I do not trust Jake Odorizzi. And while he's changed teams this season, still, when he's pitching away from his home ballpark, his ERA shoots up to a 4.86, a 4.26 slugging percentage against, and a 4.40 FIP. And Atlanta's just 5-8 in Odorizzi starts on the road this season. So it's not like he is doing himself or this team any favors. And also from the Braves' perspective, I mean, you can't be throwing out any of your great arms right now because if you do end up losing the NL East and don't have that first round bye, then you need to have your arms and aces ready to go for a 3-game series. So very interesting to look at for this game. Rocky, talk to me. Do you think the Braves got this tonight, or how do you think this game's going to play out?
Well, I do lean to the Braves here, but I want to mention that you have to be careful in the last 2 days of the year in Major League Baseball. This is a game that means something. There's a lot of games that don't. But the Braves, they're still battling out with the Mets. They have not clinched yet. They're going for the NL East Division crown. Currently sit a game and a half ahead of the Mets with 2 days left. I don't think they'll want to go into the final day needing a win, so I'm expecting them to go all out here. Odorizzi, like y'all said, he's had some bad numbers, but the positive is 3-1 with a 3.53 ERA in his 7 career starts versus Miami. And in those starts, his team is 6-1 against the Marlins there. Atlanta's 36-17 against left-handed starters this year. They're scoring 5.5 runs per game against lefties. They're allowing only 2.3 runs per game the last 7 games overall. They're 49-11 their last 60 games against teams with a losing record. Miami is 20-41 their last 61 games overall. They're 13-30 their last 43 games against right-handed starters, including 7-21 their last 28 at home. And Atlanta is 71-33 their last 140 games in Miami. I'm going to recommend a small play on Atlanta on the money line here.
There you have it. Rocky Atkinson going with the Braves on the money line. A pretty conservative price at -150, considering, of course, everything, how good the Braves are for starters, because, of course, they're one of the best teams in the entire majors. Then considering the fact that this is a must-win, seeing just 150 is, as a bettor, probably a little bit of a breath of fresh air there. But one question I have for either one of you who wants to, take this first. How much stock do you put into the fact that the Braves were shut out last night, considering that it's very unlikely they'll get shut out again? Do you think that this means they're kind of due for, getting those bats woken up again today? Or do either of you think that still like the pressure is obviously as high as possibly can be, that maybe this Braves lineup, after, again, doing all they could to sweep the Mets, still have to close out one more game, maybe that this bit of pressure might be too much for them?
I mean, I just quickly, I guess, you asked me any other week out of the year, and yeah, absolutely, there's no way that the Braves come out and get shut out again. I mean, they're the ones that have their fate in their hands. They got 2 games that they could win. I don't know. I mean, I'm not risking a bullpen. I'm not risking an injury. I'm not risking anything crazy in this situation just to prove that I can score runs, because we've seen them do that all year. If it wasn't the last week of the season, if they weren't completely locked into the playoffs, this is a battle for positioning as opposed to getting in and getting knocked out of the playoffs. If that wasn't the case, it'd be different. I don't think the shutout matters tonight. I think they're coming out to win.
Gotcha. And I totally agree, because the positioning, like you mentioned, of course, it's nice to already be locked into the playoffs, but there's definitely a big deal between having to have a 3-game series, though it would be at home, which would be nice, against probably the San Diego Padres, who does have a very good pitching staff and a good team, versus, having that day off. Rock, do you have any insight on this, or you don't really put any stock into this fact they were shut out last night?
Yeah, I don't think the shutout matters much last night. I think they're focusing on tonight, and with their powerful lineup, I think they're going to be able to score some runs here. And like I said, they don't want to go to tomorrow having to win to clinch the NL East division. I think they will try to win tonight, and that's why I'm backing them.
Isn't that why we love baseball? You can go 160 games of, kind of understanding how things go. Then it comes down to just 2, which is just amazing. So we're going to move on to another NL matchup. We have the Arizona Diamondbacks facing off against the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers had a shot there, but like we mentioned earlier, the Miami Marlins were able to get the best of Milwaukee and eliminate them from postseason contention. And now Milwaukee has to face one of the better pitchers of the entire MLB this year, and certainly the National League, Zach Gallen, who on the season was 12-3 with a 2.46 ERA, a 2.91 FIP, and a 0.89 WHIP. And looking at his splits, he was just as good either at home or on the road. So really nothing got to Gallen this year. I think he had a very underrated season. Of course, you have Alcantara, Julio Urias, and some others that are leading the Cy Young conversation. Alcantara, obviously the huge favorite, but Gallen definitely deserves some flowers on this last full count show for the regular season. Then on the other end, you have Eric Lauer going from Milwaukee, very pedestrian stats, a 3.83 ERA, a 4.56 FIP. But looking at his splits at home, he's been a much better pitcher, 2.78 ERA, 3.81 FIP, 1.11 WHIP. Diamondbacks are minus 115 to minus 120 on the money line. The Brewers are now dogs around plus 105, plus 110. The total is 7. We're going to start with you, Rocky. I mean, in this matchup, the Brewers, of course, they had basically their hearts ripped out. Nothing to really play for whatsoever. I guess technically some pride, but even that might even be thrown out the window at this point. When looking at this matchup, it seems like it's hard to handicap. Are you thinking that Milwaukee wants to kind of end on a high note, or do you think Arizona kind of comes in and is able to do their thing against the Brewers at home tonight?
Yeah, I think Arizona's going to control this game. Milwaukee has now officially been eliminated from the postseason, and to me, it was a disappointing season for the Brewers. And I don't think they will care about this game at all, really. Zach Gallen, 12-3 with a 2.51 ERA overall, 6-2 with a 2.54 ERA on the road this season. And he has a 2.21 ERA his last 3 starts. He has a 1.59 ERA in 3 career starts against Milwaukee. Eric Lauer, 0-1 with a 7.83 ERA in his last 3 starts. Milwaukee, 3-7 their last 10 home games. They're 2-6 their last 8 home games against right-handed starters. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go with a better pitcher in this game, which is Zach Gallen, and we're going to recommend a play on Arizona.
There you have it, Rocky Atkinson going with Arizona in this matchup, and it is very hard to find any reason to really not back Arizona. Obviously, the Brewers, they are out. Their hopes were crushed. They're definitely just looking forward to, playing some golf soon in Florida. But the Diamondbacks, I mean, Zach Gallen has put together a phenomenal season. So I think if anybody has any motivation in that matchup, it's for Gallen to go out there and put together a fantastic final start of the year. So I certainly can see that angle you're going with on the Diamondbacks. Jeff, talk to me. You think the Brewers have any life left in that tank, or you think they're unfortunately their souls are crushed and they're out for the year?
Yeah, I don't think, we talked about it a couple of times. I think the only 2 things when you close out to the last week or so of the season that you look at is what are you playing for, which obviously is out the window as of yesterday. And the second thing is the pitching matchup. So, you guys said it. I think the only thing that I might add is in a situation like this where, who knows what, you said they could be playing for pride. Milwaukee could be wanting to end the season on a high note after blah, 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 So I'm just going to play it in the first 5. I think I would say avoid the bullpen, avoid as much extra variables that we can try and potentially take out of that with all the motivation and things changing. I'm going to look, both these guys have gone that length recently. And the one thing that did stand out to me, that 7.83 ERA for Lauer over his last 3 starts, a good majority of that came 3 starts ago at Coors Field, where he gave up 7 earned runs and didn't make it through 3 innings. So Lauer has a good starter too, but I'm sticking in the first 5, avoid the bullpens and going with the better pitchers. So Arizona, no question.
I absolutely love that angle. Like Jeff mentioned, a huge thing to kind of minimize not just this kind of matchup, but in general when betting is variables and variance. Where you can kind of eliminate some of those things in certain capacities, like just focusing on Zach Gallen's starter and not having to worry about the Diamondbacks bullpen, the Brewers bullpen, or whatnot. Not saying it makes it easier per se, but it certainly helps you kind of hone in on a potential edge if you find it. So I wanted to go to the comment. Shout out to Charlie's Creations, huge SportsMemo supporter. And to reiterate what he is saying, please like this video, comment, and subscribe. That is the best way to grow the SportsMemo YouTube channel. But Charlie's asking a question about, at the end of the season, are you looking to choose winners, or should you kind of shift your total to over-unders? I'm going to chime in here first. I don't think it's as simple as, in this Arizona-Milwaukee matchup, if Arizona had any other pitcher on the hill, I wouldn't be so, oh, wow, we're going with Arizona in this game. But considering that it's Zach Gallen and the way his season has come together, I feel very confident in him being the alpha and kind of taking the reins and delivering a W. But Jeff or Rocky, do you see any edge solely in maybe looking for, of course, teams that need to win, or kind of going toward over-under angle, or it's the sport of baseball? There are too many things going on where you can just, put it in a box and say, oh, they need to win, let's take them. Oh, these teams have been bad all year, we're going under.
I mean, I think the only thing that the winners and picking sides that you're going to get is you're definitely going to be getting a different value at this point. You're going to be laying a little more juice. I mean, again, it's just that motivation, I think. So you could be looking over under. I actually won on the under in our next game yesterday in that Philly Houston, taking the under because I didn't think there was a lot of motivation for Houston, and the pitching matchup gives you the under. So, I just think it's about how you attack the over under, or if you're willing to lay a little more juice on those winners that you may potentially be betting earlier in the season.
Yeah, and totally agreeing with Jeff. There are certainly a lot of factors that go in there, but there are certainly edges to find if you do see a fantastic pitching matchup in a team that, is maybe resting some players because they know they have a stretch run coming up. Rocky, do you agree or see this differently?
Like I said earlier, I think you have to be careful because you don't know who's going to be in the lineup. Some of these teams are clinched. They have nothing to play for. The starters may sit. You just don't know. So you have to be careful down the stretch here. And like I passed today, I didn't see any value. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it.
I totally agree. Thank you for the question, Charlie. And again, all viewers out there, like, subscribe, and comment is the best way to support us. We truly appreciate all of that. So we're going to head to our final roundtable game, a matchup between the Astros and the Phillies. And something that I find very interesting in this game is right now the Phillies, this matchup, they're in the postseason, and they are slated to take on the Cardinals. If the Phillies are able to win and the Padres are losing, that matchup could potentially be flip-flopped. For the Philadelphia Phillies, they, of course, are very familiar with the New York Mets. Is it crazy to believe that the Phillies might not want to move up to take on the Mets and they'd rather play St. Louis? And the fact that they're facing Justin Verlander tonight, of course, is going to make that difficult regardless. But before we even go into a little bit more of like how we're handicapping this game, I'll start with you, Jeff. Do you think there's any value in a team, maybe, I just want to say tanking, but tanking is not the right word, but kind of not giving their A game for matchups at this point in the season? Or you think in Philly's mindset, they just want to stay fine-tuned and get ready for October?
I mean, I think that logic is valid to what you said. I think the other thing you have to think about is later down the line, like who you may potentially have to play in the DS or the CS, series, and who you may, or how seeding may potentially work out in a World Series, down the line. So, yeah, I mean, I do understand it not wanting to play, because I mentioned it with Cleveland and Tampa Bay last week after Cleveland had handled that series pretty well. Yeah, but do you really risk one series for a potential benefit if you make it past the Mets that you have seen multiple times? So,
yeah, no, I totally agree with that there. Just curious kind of your thoughts, because I'm the school where, you're out there playing a baseball game and you need to kind of build momentum. You need to go and win that baseball game.
I agree with that. I see the benefit to both sides potentially.
Rocky, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think you'll ever hear a baseball crew say anything about tanking a game. Now, I think it does happen, in certain times. You'd rather play one team than the other, but you still want to go in with a little bit of momentum too. So I see both sides.
Yeah, certainly agree there. There could definitely be an argument made for wanting to have a optimal matchup that happens from a loss. So maybe from like a managerial perspective, if the Astros are to hop out to like a 5-0 lead in the 7th, maybe you go to one of your lesser relievers to, trying to eat some innings instead of, trying to actually go back and win this game. But going back to the start, I know I got a little bit ahead of myself there, but we got Ranger Suarez on the mound, 10-6 on the season, 3.37 ERA and a 3.6 FIP. He's actually been a lot better on the road this year. The FIP drops to a 3.32, and that ERA goes down to a 2.69. But he'll be facing Justin Verlander in what's probably his final regular season start of his career. I don't think anything has been announced officially in terms of retirement or whatnot, but it wouldn't be a stretch to see him hang up the cleats, especially after the Astros may go on a very long run this October. Verlander stats, of course, amazing. 17-4, 1.80 ERA, 0.85 WHIP, and a 2.57 FIP, which actually drops to a 1.82 at home, which is incredible. So for this matchup, considering we've kind of all agreed on the fact that the Phillies are not just going to try to roll over in this game because they probably want to improve upon that seeding. Jeff, we'll go back to you again. Where are you seeing value in this particular matchup tonight?
Well, I'm seeing enough value on this side that I'm also going to give it to you as my best bet. So I'll stick with the total for a minute. I said this was the one I cashed on last night on the 3-0 shutout. And Ranger Suarez, you mentioned it, he's been better on the road. And in his last 3 starts, he's got a 1.50 ERA. So he's got a pretty good ERA. So I may be looking at an under in this one. I mean, Phillies 12-3 to the under on the road versus teams over 500 since the halfway mark of the season. And you got, like you said, Verlander on the other side, and you see Verlander's name, and I feel like you're automatically kind of looking towards the under. They've gone under in 4 out of his last 5 starts. He's got a 0.33 ERA in interleague play. He's 3-12 over under at night this season behind a 1.91 ERA. And he's 9-1 to the under on the year versus teams with a winning record. So, Suarez has been better in his last 3. And with Verlander on the mound, I'm looking for another under tonight. And as far as the side goes, you'll have to hold on for a second.
Gotcha. So Justin Verlander, Ranger Suarez in some great form. Verlander, of course, has been in great form for most of his entire career. Rocky, for handicapping this game, where are you looking to find an edge?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, both pitchers have done well this year, but these Verlander numbers are incredible. 17-4, 1.80 ERA overall, 9-1, 1.73 ERA at home, 1-1 with a 1.50 ERA his last 3 starts. He's 2-0 with a 1.93 ERA in 2 career starts against the Phillies. And like you said, what if this is his last game? I don't think he wants to go out with his last regular season game as a loss. He's put up way too good of numbers this year to struggle here in the final game. Houston 40-20 left-handed starters. They're 71-28 the last 99 home games against lefties. Philadelphia 2-6 their last 8 games against right-handed starters. They're 5-11 the last 16 games against teams with a winning record. Houston's won 5 of the past 7 at home against this Phillies team. I'm going to recommend a small play on Houston on the run line in this one.
Houston on the run line. I absolutely do love that angle. The one thing that I would say that could potentially not be a concern for the game because they could still cover, but is there any possibility this is just a fine tune up for the postseason for Verlander, or meaning he'll go only like 4 or 5 innings, or considering the fact they have that bye, they might want him to get a full start in, or is injury a concern there? Or since it's Verlander, I mean, I'm sure he's one of the few players that can call his own shots. Do you see any concern for maybe getting pulled early or anything like that? Or do you think it is a tune-up for the playoffs, so you might as well go that 6, 7, 8 innings? Rocky?
I think they could have him on a pitch count tonight. But like you said, Verlander probably makes his own calls, and it's according to how the game goes, it's going to dictate what happens there. If they jump out to a huge lead, he'll probably last about 5 innings, 6 innings maybe at the most. But or if they start getting stomped, they're going to pull him, of course. But I think it's going to be totally up to him.
Yeah, and I totally agree there. Verlander, Scherzer, some of only those guys who have that total control of their outings, their pitching, their innings, because they are the seasoned veterans who have the credentials to deserve those kind of praises. But now we're going to go to the best bet segment of the show, and Jeff already gave out his. I already kind of alluded to what mine is going to be, and I'm going to stick with the Arizona Diamondbacks on that money line tonight. There's really not much to say about this matchup besides the fact that I think the Brewers, all the life has been sucked out of that Milwaukee team after that deflating series loss to the Marlins. They're, of course, missing the postseason. And one of the biggest problems for Milwaukee, which has been their issue for the past couple of seasons, is their inability to fix their offensive woes. They have great pitching, they have great relief pitching, and their offense cannot support them. Zach Gallen, stats phenomenal this season. He's been slightly, I guess, underrated because you don't really hear a lot of talk about him, but obviously the people who have been in the MLB weeds every single day know how talented and how well he's been pitching this season. Considering this matchup, and that if anybody has, again, that chip on their shoulder to end the season strong, if anybody on these two teams, it is Gallen. So my best bet of the day is going to be on the Arizona Diamondbacks on that money line, laying about 115 to 120 in juice. Before we head over to Rocky, and we'll have Jeff tell us what he has on the premium side also, I want to again reiterate the fact that Rocky's NFL Sunday play is up for just $2 today for $2 Tuesday. We also have 3 featured handicappers for $5, and that is Rocky Atkinson, Teddy Covers, and the Gold Sheet, all 3 for just $5, an absolute can't-miss deal. So we're going to go to you, Rocky. What do you have as your best bet, and also how have you been doing in handicapping other sports in the last week or so?
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, 75% college football this past week, so I enjoyed that, of course. 70% last year with all my NFL picks. So far this year, NFL regular season, I'm perfect. Haven't lost a game. I do have my NFL game of the week loaded now for Sunday, and you can get it for $2. It's part of the $2 Tuesday at sportsmemo.com. As far as my best bet here for the show, I'm looking at Kansas City Cleveland matchup. Daniel Lynch is on the mound for KC. He's 4-12, 4.96 ERA overall, 3-7 with a 4.24 ERA on the road. He's 0-2 with an 8.66 ERA in his 4 career starts against Cleveland. Cal Quantrill, 14-5, 3.42 ERA overall. He's perfect at home, 8-0 with a 3.35 ERA at home, 2-0 with a 2.60 ERA his last 3 starts, and he's 5-0 with a 3.60 ERA in his 5 career starts against the Royals. Kansas City 15-42, their last 57 road games against right-handed starters. They're 18-39 their last 57 road games. Cleveland 22-6 last 28 games overall. 6-0 their last 6 games after a loss, and they're 6-1 their last 7 games against left-handed starters. Cleveland's 41-18 the last 59 games at home against Kansas City. I'm going to recommend playing Cleveland on the run line in this one.
Cleveland on the run line. You heard it from Rocky as his best bet. Make sure you check out Rocky's not only $2 NFL Sunday game of the day, but also make sure you check out his college football. He is doing absolutely incredible things, and you do not want to miss out on anything Rocky's been putting up. Jeff, we'll go to you. Talk to me. What do you have up on SportsMemo, and how have you been doing currently handicapping?
You know, we had a pretty hot weekend out on the gridiron. You know, Rocky said he passed in the MLB today. I did as well. But, yeah, we had a hot football weekend. We went 5-0 on the college board and finished the weekend 9-2-1 across football from Saturday to Monday. So won on that Monday night football game last night too. So that was a nice one. But as far as my best bet today goes, this was the closest thing that I had to making a play on the card for the MLB. And I found a couple things that made me say that the Phillies on the run line tonight against Houston was going to be my best bet. I mean, the Astros, Verlander, I think they got a shot to win the game. But I don't think with either one of these pitchers, we're going to see more than a 2-1, a 3-2 ball game. And a run and a hook could be the difference in this one. You know, Houston's 3-7 in their last 10 overall on the run line. But the two things that I saw that shocked me were Houston is 6-2 straight up after playing this, or when playing the same team that shut them out the night before, but they're just 1-5 in those games on the run line over the last 6, and they haven't covered one at home. And Philly, on the other hand, they're 7-1 on the run line as a dog versus starting pitchers with an ERA under 2. So Verlander caliber pitchers, they've seen them 8 times when you put them on that level, and they've covered 7 out of 8 of those. So with a reason to play, talking about that wild card seeding, and Give me that 1.5, and especially at a price of minus. I saw minus 130. I think 135 right around there too. So for a 1.5 in that case, when you got something to play for, I'm going with the Phillies tonight.
There you have it. Jeff Michaels, JM Sports, going with the Phillies plus 1.5 tonight against the Astros. And that will do it for the Full Count Show. Make sure you not only check out what Rocky and Jeff have up for tonight, but tap into their all access for the weekends, because they're doing absolutely phenomenal things on college and NFL football. So to make sure you do not miss a single play, head over to SportsMemo and get all access for Jeff and Rocky. We also have a promo code going on right now, a discount for any purchase, $25 or more. You'll be able to get 10% off of that purchase using promo code MEMO10. So again, make sure to utilize that on Rocky and Jeff. On behalf of myself, my two panelists, my producer Chris, to thank everybody, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, because that is the best way to help our channel grow. We appreciate you all, and best of luck on your bets today.